The streets of Manila are alive. Jeepneys rumble past, vendors call out, and the air hums with 1,000 overlapping stories. But in the middle of all this chaos stands one man, a soldier, unmoving. His uniform is worn from years of service, his boots dusty from countless deployments. In his hands is something small and simple. A folded piece of paper. On it, a prayer. Not just any prayer, but one written by his own hand in the early hours of the morning, when sleep wouldn't come and the weight of his burdens pressed heavier than the gear on his back. It's a prayer for peace, for guidance, for something he can't quite name but knows he needs. That morning, standing outside a small church in Manila, an idea takes root. What if this prayer didn't stay here? What if it traveled to the one place on earth where countless prayers have been whispered for thousands of years? Jerusalem? It sounds impossible. Manila to Jerusalem is not a short journey. It's over 8,000 kilometers, crossing seas, deserts, and worlds apart in culture and history. But the soldier feels a pull, a mission that is somehow more personal yet more important than anything he's been assigned in his military career. For years this soldier has carried the invisible weight of service, separation from family, uncertainty about the future, and memories that don't fade with time. Like many in uniform, he has stood guard in silence, carrying burdens without complaint. But lately, those burdens have begun to change him, making him more withdrawn, more restless. And so, the idea becomes a plan. He will carry his prayer from Manila to Jerusalem, not by simply mailing it, but by holding it in his own hands every step of the way. Before leaving, he visits a small chapel. A priest, hearing his story, gives him more folded slips of paper, each one holding a prayer written by strangers from his neighborhood. Their prayers for sick children, struggling marriages, jobless fathers, and lonely elders. The soldier accepts them all, tucking them carefully into a small pouch. The mission is no longer just his. The first steps out of Manila are filled with doubt. Planes, buses, and ships carry him across Southeast Asia. Each border crossing feels like a test of his resolve. In Singapore, he meets a Filipino domestic worker in the airport who, after hearing his story, scribbles a quick prayer on a napkin and hands it to him with tears in her eyes. In Thailand, a Buddhist monk blesses the pouch of prayers, telling him that compassion is a universal language. As the journey stretches on, the soldier begins to notice something. The prayers themselves are changing. The ones he carries feel heavier somehow, not in weight, but in meaning. And his own prayer, the one that started it all, no longer feels like a cry for help. It feels like a promise. To himself, to the people he's met, and to the ones who trusted him with their deepest hopes. In India, he stops at a small roadside tea stall. An elderly man, hearing about the journey, closes his eyes and silently places his hands over the pouch of prayers. The soldier doesn't understand the words spoken, but he feels their sincerity. In Egypt, while waiting for a connecting bus, a young Muslim man shares his own story of loss and faith, writing down a prayer in Arabic. He places it inside the soldier's pouch, saying, "Take this to Jerusalem for me. Tell God I am still here." The soldier realizes something profound. This journey is no longer a Filipino soldier carrying prayers from Manila. It is now a pilgrimage of the world's collective hopes. Each new prayer is like a drop of water falling into a river flowing toward one sacred destination. Finally, after weeks of travel, the soldier sees it. The ancient skyline of Jerusalem, the golden dome catching the sun, the narrow streets echoing with footsteps from pilgrims of every faith. He walks slowly through the old city, feeling the weight of every kilometer traveled, every encounter, every moment of doubt and perseverance. And then, he reaches his destination. At the western wall, he presses the pouch of prayers to his chest. Slowly, he begins to take them out, one by one. Some are crumpled from the journey, some are neatly folded. He places each prayer into the cracks of the wall, letting his fingers linger as if making sure the words truly rest there. When it's time for his own prayer, he hesitates. For a long time he thought this moment would be about asking for something. Peace, strength, healing. But now, standing here, he realizes his prayer has already been answered. The journey itself changed him. When he returns to Manila weeks later, people ask him what it felt like to stand in Jerusalem. He tells them, it felt like coming home, even though it was thousands of miles away. The soldier continues his service, but now with a lighter heart. He becomes known among friends and fellow soldiers as the man who carried the prayers of strangers halfway across the world. But perhaps the most unexpected thing is the ripple effect. People who hear his story begin their own journeys of faith, whether traveling to a sacred site or simply taking the time to deliver a heartfelt message to someone in need. His pilgrimage proved something timeless. Prayers can travel across oceans, across borders, and across hearts. But sometimes the biggest transformation happens in the one who carries them.